That beard. You're
I
growing
know,
it.
I'm getting
And we're
rabbinical.
live, Michael.
Oh, yes, indeed, everybody. Welcome to Comedy Cellar Nightly. This is, boy, oh boy, it's such a breath of fresh air to see your faces here. Our guests tonight will go right around. We have Lize Miele joining us.
Hi.
Brian Scott McFadden.
Hey, guys.
Matt Ruby.
Hey,
And
everyone.
just a little bit, John Laster will also be joining us. It is really nice to see you guys today because I have to tell you, I just today had my very last gig of 2020 officially canceled. So I have nothing.
What made you hold on to it so long? Did you have hope in your heart that it was actually going to happen?
I did. It was not until November. It was a corporate, so it was really like, okay, we need this one, and there we. Oh, let me introduce John Laster, everybody. Welcome, John.
What's good, Michael? How you, man?
We're doing just fine. We're just catching up. I was telling everyone that my last gig of the year got canceled. I've been watching them fall like dominoes, and I'm clear for the year. How is everyone doing? Let's start, John, with you. Where are you?
I'm here chilling in Brooklyn, man.
Okay. Have you been the whole time since March? Have you been there?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
Okay.
for the most part. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And have you performed? I see some of you. I know Matt was outside at a gig, and have you performed other than online? Have you done any live shows?
You know what? I did a couple shows outside last weekend, and they were. You know what? Because I want to bash them. But the ones that I did last weekend were surprisingly good. I did do a show earlier on in the pandemic where I bombed on the back of a truck in the back of a diner, where people had to flash their lights to show their applause.
Don't you feel like we're learning new ways to bomb? Like it's like like the same way that like people are like, how's it like to have a heckler? And you're like, every heckler is a diamond in the rough and a new horrible experience. And I feel like this is like new ways to feel bad about yourself. In your
Yo, Liz, it was a whole new dimension of bombing. I went into the fourth, fifth dimension of bombing.
Yeah, it's like as if we as comedians weren't fragile enough. You know what I mean? It's like, can we throw some more orange safety cones and more methodology for us to be able to play whack-a-mole with our self-esteem? It's frightening. It's amazing, isn't it?
I think you got to look at it like there's no killing and there's no bombing. It's just up to you. You know, it's like the feedback is all internal now. It's just what can you do?
Well, if it's up to our internal voices, we're all in trouble. That's not good.
Yeah.
That's the problem. That's the problem.
Now, I haven't done one of these shows. Has anyone, do the cars, do they ever honk? Because I think that would be unnerving.
Well, you know what the thing is the show is in Astoria, Queens. So, you know, Queens is all residential.
Yeah.
I did that show. The Bel Air one? Yeah.
Yes. So they wouldn't, you know, it was going to be disturbing to the neighborhood. And actually, when I got on stage, I was like, hey, you know, you guys are having a good time, honk. And then the show producer ran over to the truck back and was like, no, they can't honk. they gotta flash their lights. So I stood there telling jokes to no light flashes, and it was
So just like having a stroke. Like, how'd it go? I had a stroke and I think I killed. I don't know.
Oh my God. I rarely say that I killed anyway, but that was a definitive horrendous bomb, and it was a long Uber ride home.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would actually be scared of cars after that. Like, I'd be like, oh, cars just make me think about how bad I am at comedy.
Exactly.
You know what? If I had put like some sound effects in it or something, it could have been a scary movie. It really could have. I could have turned that into a scary. It was that bad. You know what I mean? I almost felt like the cars were looking at me like, if you don't kill yourself right now, like you have
John, how many guys were on the show? Was a bunch of other guys?
It's a bunch of people, man. Yeah, a bunch of people.
How long did you do? Did you do 10?
I did. I mean, I was hosting it, and then I went back up and I bombed for a little while in between. You know,
I like how it's all like a sad blur. You're like, stop asking me questions about the worst night of my life.
I just spread my ashes across the whole show.
Well, I'm going upstate and I'm doing a drive-in. I'm doing 40 minutes at a drive-in in 2 weeks. So not only have I not done 40 minutes since March. Like, you know what I mean? Like I have to like truly remember my jokes and then also see how I can tie in some of the new stuff I've been working on. But like, I even asked him, I was like, can we just have like 10 people in lawn chairs socially, like just somebody to play off of? Because even if everybody in the car is having a good time, I'm not having a good time. Like I need something to work the timing off of. Like, I just need somebody I can look at and be like, this is weird, right? And they go, yeah. And then we like, just, even if it was just, I almost want to just like bring one person and be like, can I just tell 40 minutes of jokes to you?
Yo, you know what the other thing is though, too, is you got to keep in mind that there's an evolution of people who put on shows. So people who put on shows for a long period of time figure out that you need to put some chairs up front, right? So when this pandemic kicked in, you had people who don't know how to put on a show, putting on shows. So you're almost starting from scratch. They don't even understand that you have to have some people right here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the shows are so horrible, and they haven't evolved enough to know it's a horrible show. They just have a show.
Right, and they're excited. That's enough for them. I have a show. I put a show up. Yeah.
Yes. They haven't evolved to the point of getting a good show out of it yet.
Yeah.
They're just happy it happened.
Yeah.
It happened. You know what I mean?
And you're like,
well, John,
go ahead.
To your point, that Queen show, now they have people sitting up front. There's like 15 people in front and then the cars behind them, and it does help a lot.
And it's
all
not those,
they all evolve.
It's not those creepy cardboard cutouts they're using at sporting events, right? It's real people.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, and comedy is like a rickety art form anyway. Like it can be easily thrown off by small things. And so when you're faced with this epic level of insanity, and you know, have anybody done the shows in the park where you don't even have a microphone? You know what I mean? Like you're just and yeah, it's okay. You know, it's like okay, it's kind of cute. You know, like but it's just you know, amplified sound is just such a beautiful thing, and just going around to people. I feel like you know those street performers going around. It just doesn't have the same, you know.
Yeah.
Well, comedians in the park just yelling at people is like the final line gone between us and just crazy homeless people.
Oh, yeah.
Like if we're just standing in a park yelling at people, it's like all combined.
I feel like we all stopped showering. We clearly all stopped shaving, right, guys? And like, there is a part of me, like, I've done a couple of park shows now. I did one in Prospect Park, and my favorite was there's a volleyball game over here. There's planes. I'm like, who's flying right now? There was planes going over that really did like, they were so loud that you couldn't hear. Then there was like tuba practice, like who knows where they were, but they were loud enough to be distracting. And then a motorcycle would like go by as loud as possible. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this? Like, why? Like, because you can't time it. You can't be like, as a plane goes, be like, give me 2 minutes. I have a punchline coming at you.
And is the audience invited? Are they paying to be there, or are they just walking up?
They're charging people for these shows for sure.
It depends. I think for stand-up New York, the park shows, I think you can like reserve and like kind of give them like a head count, but you don't. I think they're free, and then you can like donate.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
But not just anyone could come over and start yelling at you. It's just a little set space.
Yeah. Anybody can sit down. Like there are people that reserve, and there are people that just start seeing you do stand-up and they sit down. And then they have like little signs that say stand up in the park. And then New York Comedy Club started putting on like rooftop and like bar patio shows. So I've done one rooftop show where you have to like go in an elevator, go inside, and then you're on a rooftop. And then I've done ones where literally like it was on 48th and 8th, I think. But you're on the sidewalk, like you're standing in front of almost like how the stand has it set up, where you're standing in front of the restaurant and everybody's kind of socially distanced in chairs, pretty much like in the street. And you're just telling jokes on it. And then people are going down the sidewalk because it's still Times Square. And they're just like shopping like it's not a pandemic. It's so weird. It's so weird.
Stand Up New York did a show outside on the street. And then somebody started yelling from like up in one of the apartments to shut up. And so you're getting heckled from the 8th floor or the 20th floor. It was unbelievable. And it was on the back of a truck. This is like the most tragic. And then they called the cops, and the cops showed up and broke up like we were like a speakeasy or something. A comedy speakeasy. The cops came and shut the whole thing down before I even went on. Like that. And it was like, oh, great. You know, this is.
Where you're like, hey, can I get everybody's email? I'll just email you my jokes. Like,
right.
The important question, did you get paid?
Yeah. Actually, somebody Venmo'd me zucchini.
Pity money?
I think.
Sorry about your dreams.
I got Venmo'd nachos. They Venmo'd me nachos.
But
I used to host like 4 bar shows a week in Brooklyn. Yeah, so 4 bar shows a week. But at the time, this guy, he comes to me, he says, man, John, I love all your shows, whatever. I'll give you $500 every Sunday to host this show, but it was an outdoor venue. And I told him, I said, man, I've been at this too long. I don't do outdoor venues. It's non-negotiable. I'm not doing it. He said, I'll give you 500. And he said, it's a Sunday. He said, John, come on, man, it's your slow day. He said, you know what? I respect you. He said, you know what? Do me a favor. Just as a business man, he said, would you come and talk to me at my place? Come eat, get some drinks. We'll discuss it there. If you don't want to do it, no problem. So I get there. It's beautiful. He's got fucking cabanas. There's these string lights hung above. I mean, the place is gorgeous. There's turf on the ground, so it doesn't even feel like outside, right? There's a DJ playing. I know the DJ. I was like, this shit is fire. Do you know what I mean? $500. He's got me hooked, right?
Yeah.
The DJ stops playing. A fucking plane flies over the restaurant and a fire engine pulls up and gets stuck at the light with the sirens going, right? And right in that moment, snap back into reality, like, he almost had me. Because when the music is on, we get confused. We forget that every sound, every wind shift, everything, you know what I mean? But he almost had me. I was sitting there like, you know what? I could fucking do this. As soon as the DJ stopped, it's right under the final approach to LaGuardia. Fire engine pulls up, and I was like, man, nah, I'm getting the fuck out of here. Yeah.
But what I find so funny is like I always felt like outdoor shows were like the lowest show, like in the tier of shows you want to do, they were like the lowest one, and I would always turn them down. And like I think the last one I agreed to do was Coney Island, because I don't live too far from Coney Island, so I'm like, you can get me to, if it doesn't take me too long to get home, I'll do it. It to this day, and I think my brother was staying with me, so I'm just like bombing in front of my brother in front of like probably 8 drunk people that didn't know a show was happening, because I feel like before the pandemic, when you had an outdoor show, nobody's outdoor to sit still. You know what I mean? Like people are outdoors to like have fun and talk to their friends and enjoy the sunshine. But now, because this is our only form of getting together, you actually have their attention a little bit. But it's just like, it's all the space. Then you see all the activities you wish you were doing instead. And then you're trying to convince people to listen to you. But as you're talking, you're almost convincing yourself that they're right. You're like, you shouldn't be listening to me. You should definitely be talking to your friend while having a pina colada. I'm wrong. I'm wrong for trying to do this to you.
Yeah, it's so true. Distraction is the great enemy, and it's for years and years we've all known. I don't understand why places have such a hard time doing it. Matt Rubio, tell us where you are, man.
I'm in Long Island.
Okay, that looks house-like behind you.
Yeah, I'm at a friend's place. It's pretty nice.
Did you go just to shoot this tonight, or have you been staying there?
Yeah. I rent out Airbnbs just for my Comedy Cellar live streams. You know, I got to keep up appearances. No, I've been in Brooklyn mostly, but just trying to beat the heat for a little bit.
Okay.
But yeah, I did that drive-in show too, and it is. First of all, a car alarm went off in the middle of it, which I'm like, if flashing your lights is like laughing, is the car alarm like snorting? Is that like? And also, when all the cars flash their lights at you, it started making me think like maybe fireflies are just doing stand up for each other. That's their whole like existence there. But yeah, I don't know. It is funny to me just how like comedians we're all so tough and nothing can fuck with us, yet we're also like such divas about like the wind was blowing too much, a waitress dropped a drink, anything, and we're just like can't handle it. But I don't know. I'm it's weird times. What do you guys, I guess this is the question I ask every comedian when I talk to them is like, what's on the other side of this? What do you think happens let's say we get a vaccine in December, God willing, like then what?
Well, we're gonna get quarantined again. Like I believe like I'm trying to just do every show possible just because I believe September, October, it's all gonna be gone again.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Because I think
Yeah.
I think we're headed back indoors, and it's not even a second wave. I mean, it's just been a continuous wave. But right now, it seems slightly safer to kind of be outside. But I think that's all gonna go away. So I think it's gonna be like, enjoy it now. It's gonna get shitty again, and then hopefully a vaccine. But for me, it's about keeping venues alive, because like keeping yourself alive, clearly, like, you know, do what you can to make money and pay your bills. But like after that, like my next concern is, you know, Broadway will get a grant, but fucking nobody gives a shit about mom and pop comedy clubs or little theaters, which I was doing a fair amount of. Like there's all these like venues that you think about, like, or even the fact that I like doing bar shows. Like I do comedy clubs, but I was doing, you know, during the week I would do all these bar shows, and there were some fun hip ones, and now you're like, are they going to exist?
Yeah.
Well, also tourists, like we rely on tourists.
Oh,
you know?
yeah,
Like who's
exactly.
going to come to New York anytime soon, you know?
Yeah, I mean, nobody wants us either. Like that's the other thing is like who's going to come into America? They're not letting us out, which is smart. Like I'm not blaming them, but yeah, that's the other thing is like, there's even been some repeat people at park shows, and I was like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I can't write that fast. Like,
are you writing? Are you guys being creative and trying to write consistently, or?
You know, stuff occurs. A lot of stuff about that's, you know, COVID specific. You know, and you can't help it because it sort of comes in handy when you do have to do a show, because nothing feels normal anymore. Like even talking about the stuff that actually, remember when life was the same, you know, like some of those jokes just don't have the same oomph because there's such a cloud, you know. So I literally could do like 30 minutes just on this now, simply because it just seems like this is all, and you know, you're trying to come up with something clever or something, but you're faced with new weird shit that just, you know, that you have to deal with.
The elephant in the room. If you got up there and started talking about laundry, it would be like, everyone's like, come on, really?
You know, I've heard some great joke, you know, I'm sure we all have them, and we got a couple of good ones that we do, and I've heard some really good ones, but you can't help it. Like I go up after 4 people and I'm like, I got some more COVID jokes for you for my first 6 minutes, you know, like, you know, hopefully I won't step on anyone else's premises or anything, you know, and carve out my own niche, but I don't know, you know.
Don't you feel like that's also been the weird thing, which is like, I'll be honest, my first, like you know, everything happens, we get sent home, and my first thought is like, fuck, like how am I going to pay my bills, and this sucks, and am I going to be depressed not doing stand-up for, you know, what appeared to be 2 months, and now I'm like, do I even need stand-up? Apparently I don't need it. I thought I did. But then my next thing was like, fuck, we're all having the same experiences. This sucks. Like at least, like, you know what I mean? Like you're over, like I know people are having different experiences, but it did just feel like, okay, we're all in New York City not being able to leave the house during a pandemic. Like fuck, like I have to be extra creative. I'm tired and I'm sad.
Yeah.
It is the first time in our lives that everyone on the entire planet can relate to what we're talking to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't feel like, I don't know, I don't feel like we're out enough. So I find myself writing like before I have to jump on a Zoom show or some shit like that. A friend of mine had a really, really good Zoom show. And I mean a Zoom show that was like worthy of doing over and over and over again. He had it in a loft. So the camera's pointing at you. And then he projected the Zoom people on the back wall.
Oh, that's
so there was an actual stage, mic stand, you know what I mean? Wow. It was a green screen behind you so that to them it looked like you were on a comedy club stage. But that way you could hear the laughter in real time. You could see everybody. And he had an engineer that would kill, you know, in case a baby started crying or a dog started barking.
They're always vacuum cleaning.
Exactly.
Every time.
Hey, John, who booked that?
Yo, you know what? Unfortunately, the lease on the loft ran out, so it's gone. It was Marcus.
Oh, selfish. That's some bullshit lies. Yeah. It's selfish. It's an amazing show, but nobody else can do it.
No one's allowed.
That was a fucking great show. But of course, I mean, so I found myself like writing a ton of shit for that. Not to mention, I'm Black, so you can't go on stage and not be talking. I can't just act like the Black lot. You know what I mean? I can't just come on stage and be like, yo, this COVID. Motherfuckers like, you know that there's niggas out in the street marching. Like, you don't have nothing to say about this?
Yeah.
So I had to come up with a ton of shit for that. But I think that everybody's so sensitive. Any joke about it worked. You know what I mean? People are so on edge, like, oh, he's making light of it. Thank God we can laugh about it. I didn't feel like the jokes were any good in particular. Not to mention, I don't know. I know this is going to sound blasphemous. I just think all these jokes are horrible. Like, jokes are meant to be worked out. Like, you don't just show up at the park and throw some shit out there and be like, hey, how was the joke? Who the fuck knows?
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's a post-COVID joke in a park with fucking police cars.
Yeah, that's true.
Are you fucking serious? Are we really having this discussion as to how's your material? Your material is fucking untested. That's what the bullshit is.
Yeah, without the reps, it's been really, really hard. I did the same. I did a Zoom corporate thing, and I was like, I literally have no idea if any of this is worthwhile, and I don't know when I'm going to find out. It'll probably expire by the time. Yeah, there's no way, and things are changing so fast. I shoot skits. I was shooting skits every day. Now I'm doing something else on my Instagram for the Black Lives Matter movement. But yeah, so when we first started shooting skits, this is how far we've come. I had a skit go viral just as we got thrown out of work and all that shit. But the skit was, I was a dope dealer on the corner selling Purell. like it was crack. But look how far removed, you know what I mean? Like, this shit is changing so fast. Then I had a skit like mid thing that really took off, but it was about masks. Right.
About like this. So this girl walks by and she's like, hey, Jamal. And I pull my thing down. I'm like, hey, it's John, you know, but I'm playing like it's racist. Like, she thinks we all look alike. And she's like, no, it's the mask. Right. But we've come so far since then because we're all used to wearing masks. That joke wouldn't work. You know what I mean? Like, so why am I worried about whether these jokes, whatever I'm writing right now is going to be something that's current, and it's a shitty joke. Right. I'm throwing this thing at the wall.
Right. No, it's true. Remember when it first started, everyone was posting photos of themselves wearing a mask. It's just because it was the craziest, most novel thing in the world. That was people like, look what I got on. And now it's like, now if you don't wear one, everyone just gets furious.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what John's saying is just like, to me, it's almost like, write jokes for that show and film it, and if you get something good, put it up the next day. But like, to count on it still being funny in like 6 months or whenever we get in regular show schedule again, it's like, who knows?
But that said, it is a major life event. I mean, when people still joke about things that happen, 9/11, everything else.
I think they'll become parts of jokes. Like, that's what I think is going to really happen, is you write these kind of things, they might die initially, but then because we all had this shared experience, they're going to be like these weird tags and callbacks, and you know what I mean? So like, you might end up, John, having some kind of joke about people saying all Black people look alike, and then somehow be able to tie in some kind of, you know, if you thought we looked the same then, wait until we cover up half our face. You know what I mean? Or like the next pandemic. Like, there is something kind of cool that I do think, because we all had a shared experience, the same way that we can all kind of talk about 9/11, because the whole country kind of experienced that and that trauma. I think now internationally, we all have something like, I feel like, as somebody that's kind of traveled overseas, like, I could go to any country. Like, now I've never been to New Zealand, but I want to go to New Zealand and be like, take me, like, I just want to be adopted. like I feel like every country could be like, not going to Brazil. We know why. You know what I mean? Like, and just be kind of silly with it. Even like the same, like, you know, John, you host a lot more than I do, but like, I just think now when you start to interact with people, when tourists do come back, you have so, like, we've taken in so much international information just on how COVID was, that you can have somebody in the audience that's from Germany and you'd be like, this is the first time people are like saying nice things about Germany. Like, you know, I think
it's the first time people have ever felt bad for America. Like, we're being pitied around the world now, you know? It's like, oh, you're American? I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Or you live in that shithole country, you know?
Yeah. Exactly.
We're the shithole country now.
Yeah, we are the ones that no one wants. Yeah, get away. We're not even allowed in Canada. I mean, that's how's that feel? I was actually in New Zealand when all this happened, believe it or not. And
why'd you leave?
I did not want to leave. I have to tell you, my girlfriend and I were on vacation, It was so wonderful. And every day we checked the news, we didn't know how serious it was. Like we knew when we left there's a virus, it's not going well. And every day we'd like log on real quick to see what's happening. And the day they canceled March Madness, the NCAA tournament, I was like, oh, I think this is real. Like I think something's real. You know, and by that weekend, they were like, if you're American, you should try to come home. And I'll tell you what, the reason New Zealand does well is they shut that place down so fast. And their prime minister is so like no nonsense. So and so half the time, my girlfriend's so inspired by like this woman in charge going, look what she do. I'm like, yeah, but she's kicking us out. Can she slow down just a little bit, please? Yeah. You know, can she get really tough in a month? Like, God bless them. They did well.
I was in London. So I was in Paris when I got to Paris. Then I was in London when I got to London. And then I was supposed to go to Germany for the first time. Then I was going to be in Switzerland. And it was like 2 days before I was going to Germany. And I turned to my friend who was going to be opening for me. And I was like, I don't think we're going to make it to Switzerland. They're starting to like any venue over 50, they're shutting it down. So I was like, in the morning, I'll have to like change my flights because my flight was supposed to be out of Zurich. And then I woke up to maybe 50 text messages, 3 missed calls, a crazy amount of emails. I had just been talking to my best friend from high school, and like Trump had the board, you know, he shut down the border kind of thing, and was like, he actually said anywhere but England, but my friend was like, that doesn't matter, it's going to get worse. And it was even they clarified that was for Americans. She's like, it doesn't matter, the tickets are skyrocketing. So she bought me a ticket home from London 3 days later for $400. Within probably a half hour after she bought it, it skyrocketed to 2,000. So like she saved my ass in so many ways. So I was going to have to cancel those gigs anyway, but like I woke up and like she's explaining to me, like I'm like not conscious. She's like 5 things happened in the 6 hours that I was like asleep. And then literally she saved me so much money. And then I like after I got home, because I didn't want anybody to have the pandemic without me. After I came home, I saw like a whole thing, I think it was on like CNN, about people that were trapped overseas because either they couldn't afford to get home or there wasn't like, you know, there weren't flights that were leaving from there. So now people are stranded in Airbnbs or they're stranded in hotels. They're spending money. Like luckily in London, I was staying with a friend and at least I would have had a free place to stay. But like if I wasn't thinking or being stupid, I could have gone to Germany and been stuck in Germany and then paying out of my butt. Like it's so crazy where like, and even then I knew it was serious, but I don't think I thought like the rest of the year is a bust series.
Oh, of course not. I have footage of myself. So the Cellar closed down Sunday. I have footage. I did a 1-man show Saturday night and then hosted 2 shows. Footage of me on stage cracking jokes about the goddamn. I was literally on stage and I said, you know, with all these people in here, this is my 3rd show tonight. I'm on stage and I said this. I said, y'all know some of y'all got the coronavirus. Like, clearly, there's coronavirus in this crowd. Like, I am straight full on fucking cracking, like, what the fuck ever.
And you were probably right.
And then you found out all of New York City has it. And
two weeks later, the place had exploded. And I was supposed to leave at the end of the week for Australia for a month for Melbourne.
Oh, God.
For the Melbourne Comedy Festival. Yep. And 3 days before I get on the plane, they pull the plug. The thing that pissed me off, though, is I'm still a little heated about this. Australia never really erupted.
Yeah, but that's because they've been really strict.
And like so,
because they didn't let you in from New York. That's why.
You didn't let your Corona ass in. So
I can tell you, we went to Australia first, and then New Zealand. And Australia, they may not want to admit it, but they look over the water and see what New Zealand's up to, and they do it the next day. That's what I learned. Smart. About
we should be copying their fucking homework too. Like, to me, because fucking so my boyfriend, he's not Australian, but his dad lives in Tasmania. So he was trying to figure out like, is there any way I can see my dad or whatever? But very quickly even though we were erupting, before we even had real shit going down in New York, Tasmania, which is a small island off of Melbourne, they were like, you have to quarantine for 2 weeks. And then like a day later, Australia is like and there's no way to get to Tasmania without going to Melbourne first. So they were like, Melbourne, 2 weeks quarantine. Then he would get to so he would have to quarantine for a full month if he wanted to go see his dad. And then people were getting trapped. So he ended up not going. But like, as strict as that all sounds, that's what we should have been doing. Yeah. It could have stayed in New York City and we could have just been an epicenter and been better. But because nothing was done, it just became an absolute mess. Like
Yeah, but you know what? And you know what's great though? If that would have happened, we could all have gone back to fucking work by now.
Oh yeah.
We would all be back working. You know what I mean? Instead of standing around in parks with fucking fire engines rolling by.
Well, it's like America, we always like pretend like the rest of the world doesn't exist. It's like clearly people have figured this shit out. Why don't we just do what other countries are doing?
I know. You look at Thailand, you look at South Korea, Germany, like there's all these countries that figured it out pretty quickly. And we now, months later, know how we could like fix this, and we're still not doing it, which is
that's because masks are violating our freedoms.
Freedom. We love freedom. Every time I hear that, I'm like, you know who else loves freedom? Dads who abandon their kids. They also love freedom. You know, doesn't mean it's right.
Yeah.
Have any of you traveled? Have any of you flown since this has happened?
I went to Aruba. I did that. I went to Aruba.
What was that about? I saw that on your Instagram.
First, my girlfriend went to Costa Rica just before this thing hit, and she flew there to do she does like therapy, and she was doing a workshop down there, and she landed, and then she got to the resort where they were going to do the workshop, and then they immediately Trump closed the border. And they told her that they're canceling this thing, get on the first flight out of here. So she was like, she landed and then was told to get out of the country like right away, and had to grab like whatever flight she could to fly. And she called me, she's like panicking. And I said, just get out of there.
Get out of there.
It sounded like something like,
get to the chopper. I mean?
It sounded like one of those Vietnam movies where people are jumping on the chopper, you know, and hanging on and get me out of here before the Khmer Rouge takes over, you know. And so so we've been just stuck here. And then, you know, Aruba doesn't have a problem down there. They're pretty good. You have to take a test. And Ray does that show down there, but we just said let's go for a vacation. Let's get the hell out of here. You know what I mean? Like there's no shows.
I can't believe they let you in. That's crazy.
Well, you have to take a test. You have to take a test at the airport.
And how long does it take for you to get it? I almost think we should go to Aruba just to get a test in 24 hours because ours take 2 weeks. Exactly.
Well, no, you actually have to go there. We had to get a test here, but you couldn't get the results. We could not get the results. So we had to like chance it that we didn't have it. We pretty much, you know, guessed that we probably don't. We took a test anyway, but we never got the results in time. So we just jumped on a plane, got to the airport. They swab you when you land, right? They've got it down to a science down there. They stick the thing up your nose. Then you have to go to your hotel and sit there until you get your results, right? So,
how long did it take?
It was like 24 hours. Like we couldn't go out of the place. It was like the next day we got our results and you said, you're good. You can do whatever you want. So that was fun.
What was open? Were there things open? Bars?
Oh yeah.
Restaurants?
It was weird because the casinos are open and the bars are open, but the beaches are, everything's like kind of open, but it's a ghost town.
Yeah.
So I'm used to going down there when it was packed. We did shows down there and it was always great. And you're just wandering the beaches and it's like some kind of dystopian, you know, after the apocalypse, after the bombs have dropped, no one is there. And everyone is just wandering around. You know, everyone's still upbeat there, but they're getting hammered because the hotel's 20% full. It's like the Marriott, like 10 to 20% full. And there's just nobody around. It was actually kind of cool, but after a while, it was just a bit creepy to be going around and to have no one on the beach in the one of the most beautiful beaches in the world. It was pretty fascinating.
Yeah,
sounds like a horror movie.
What kind of therapy does your girlfriend do?
What's that?
What kind of therapy?
Michael, is there something you need to talk about?
I was in Costa Rica once. I remember.
Nah. She does something called the completion process, which is to take you through your childhood trauma. It's like therapy on steroids.
Is that right?
Oh yeah. It's pretty powerful.
And she's dating you. I love it.
I was gonna say, I was like, did you like negotiate not to ever take the course? You're just like, you're gonna ruin my career.
No, that's unavoidable. It was a price of doing business. I had to go. I had to do it. I had to like.
What did she discover about you?
Oh, a lot of things. Some don't get me started. I'll start sobbing. a childhood that what kind of childhood shapes a comedian. I think we all have some similar backgrounds of absent parental emotional, emotional frigidity and isolation and the angst that causes you to use humor to hide and compensate. How far do you want to go with this, Matt?
I'll give you my version, which is one time in therapy, my therapist asked me if I did comedy because my mom was funny. And I thought about it. I was like, I don't think so. My mom wasn't really funny at all. In fact, I don't even remember hearing her laugh or smile at all. Oh.
Wow. Bang.
God damn it. She did it.
Got me.
She got me to say it.
Wow.
Therapist.
I don't even know if you're like, does your girlfriend like meet comics at a show and just be like, oh, so many clients?
Oh yeah.
So many.
She's handing out business cards.
Truly, like after every set, she's like, that argument with your boyfriend, it's actually about your mother. Like, like
every time I get mad about something, this is about your dad, or your mom or something. Like, and most of the time it's actually true. That's the eerie part, But
How long, Brian? How long have you been together? And do you live together?
Yeah, she's in the next room working with a client right now on Zoom, right?
How has that gone in isolation? Were you guys living together for a while before this?
Yeah. We've been dating about 6 years, and she's been living here for 2. So
I think she's working on her thesis.
Pretty much, I'm going to be the subject of a 3-volume bound set of psychological explorational, the textbooks or whatever.
How have you done? Because I moved in with my girlfriend last year, and this is going to sound like a joke. I guess it is, but I really wanted to try to be home more this year to spend more time with her.
Well played, Michael.
Mission accomplished.
You did this to us.
Well played, sir. Well played.
But I'm not leaving. I think we did well because I would be here and then leave for periods of time. And now obviously I'm not leaving. Are you experiencing the same thing, Brian? Are you having?
Yeah, no, I mean, intimacy, intimacy is hard enough. If forced intimacy, like some kind of Game of Thrones confined to quarters kind of intimacy it really forces you to look at shit and to wonder, am I getting triggered because of is this my issue, or is this and it does wear on you because there's not much, especially when we're quarantined. There's not much to do, to go in. You can't socialize with other people. It's like a fucking nightmare,
Yeah.
And so it does put a strain. Depending, how long have you been with your girl there?
Well, together 2 years, and then moved in a little over a year ago. So,
okay.
But like I said, mostly on the road last year, in and out. I was like, I'm the fun guy. I come to town, we do some fun stuff, I leave. Yeah.
Right.
Well, I don't think you guys you'll like this. I met my girlfriend's parents and then moved in with them for 2 months.
Wow. How the hell did that happen? What the really?
Was that right before? What was that, March?
How long were you guys dating?
Like 5 months.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but it went great. They were swell, so I can't complain. But it was an interesting dynamic to be like, hey, I'm here. Nice to meet you. I'll move my bags in over there.
Now, is that because of the pandemic that happened?
Well, we just wanted to get out of the city, and they lived in the suburbs, so made a run for it.
Can I just tell you, man? White people got the fuck out of Dodge, yo. Straight up, I am impressed with how many extra places white people have that you never fucking knew. You like, where the fuck are you?
John, I'm here, man. John, I'm here, man. Yeah. I'm in the trenches with you. Okay.
Black power, Brian. Black power.
These white privileged people, I'm tired of this shit. All this white privilege. Me and John are holding down the fort while you fuckers are in the Hamptons.
We got to fight the man, Matt, man. We got to fight the man.
Now, Matt, you were there. I mean, this is amazing because not only did you not know her parents, but you didn't know her that well, right?
Well, I mean, we started dating in October, so it was it had been a pretty good run up till then already.
Are you
Yeah,
still
but
together?
that's a different way of getting to know somebody. I
Yeah.
mean,
It was,
I've been with my boyfriend for almost 4 years, and getting to know him pandemic style has been difficult.
yeah,
Wow,
I
pandemic
was like, oh, is
intimacy
this what you're like, jobless? This is horrible.
This
It's
sounds
true.
like
Yeah,
a sexual position, pandemic style.
pandemic
I-
intimacy is next level. The word I keep using is accelerant. Whatever
Yeah.
whatever is already happening, it's going to speed it up.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's for sure.
Are
It's
you
like,
still together, Matt?
Yeah, we're doing great.
Okay. As you call from your friend's house.
I've taken it as a sign of the universe that you know,
Mm.
all right, this is what's happening now. Just focus on what you got and the people who are around, and just try to appreciate them and all that stuff. You know.
Yo, what the fuck else are you going to say sitting in her parents' house? Oh, I can't stand this bitch, man. Oh my God.
be homeless.
I'm packing right now. I only stayed here for the goddamn podcast.
John, I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to be better.
What Matt doesn't know, while Matt was talking, that door behind him actually slowly opened. I don't know if you all saw that. So everyone can.
She basically was like, no, I really want to know what he thinks about this.
What else is he gonna say? Sitting
Now I better
in
check.
his fucking girl's parents' crib. Hell yeah, he loves her.
That's a sweet.
It's going great.
Good to know that you're wearing pants. I'm always worried when people stand up that they forget that the camera follows them.
Yo, that's why I never stand up on these things. I've been pantless since March.
John, are you with anyone? Are you living alone?
Oh man, no, man. Yo, let me tell you something. I can't tell you how many of my friends who are in relationships, guys, are in literal hell. Literal hell. They call me like, yo, man, I want to kill this human being. Yeah, but I don't know.
We weren't meant to spend this much time with people. I just don't feel, especially us who like, that's like, I've always thought the beauty of dating a comic at the very least is that like we pop in and we pop out. We have our own schedule. We're busy. You're grateful to see us. We're funny. We have stories. But now it's like, there's no stories.
No.
Never leave. We're actually really sad people. Like,
Yeah,
I
I think I've been single for so long that I would have died a slow death. You know what I mean? Like, there's a time to like, just like kind of like Liz just said, like, oh, it would be good to, because if you want to start a relationship, it would be good to have that you don't want to start a relationship like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That all of my relationships ended in this type of space, all my long-term relationships. So both of my exes, their careers, one was an actress and her career slowed down. She lost her agent. And my last ex-girlfriend who just died a couple weeks ago, she was, I know, fucking alcohol related in Austin, but she was a model. Her agent she was with Wilhelmina here in the city. Agency broke up. She was home all the time. So now we're both fucking sitting around watching Forensic Files all day. Bro, recipe for disaster. So yeah, I mean, just sitting around looking at somebody is just, and if you're not like, my brother is a relationship guy. Me and my brother are polar opposites. I've always been the single guy that was doing all types of crazy shit. My brother always had a girlfriend, just with that girlfriend. I think if that's who you are, maybe this isn't so bad. For somebody like me, they would be like, yeah, we found him in the fucking Hudson River. He jumped off a bridge.
John, are you older? Your brother's, which one's older? You or your brother?
My brother's younger than me. Yeah. But he, you know, when we were in like high school, college, I remember when he came home from college one time, he said, all my life I wanted to be like you. I always wanted to have all the women, be the party guy. And he was like, that's not me, you know? And he was like, you know, this is, I like a relationship. He's fucking married now for the second time. That's his thing. You know what I mean?
That's how much he likes relationships.
That's his shit. I would be going back.
I love relationships so much. That's why I'm on my 5th marriage. I just, you know.
But you would think after he got divorced that he would have had a wild run. He didn't even do that. Didn't even do that.
John, so are you dating or anything, John? Or what's the?
I love this has become solo? John the Bachelor.
I am COVID mingling. Let me tell you. Tell you. the price of pussy goes through the roof when there's a pandemic. You are Ubering from far distances and being far nicer than you used to be when there's a pandemic out
and
here.
how are you meeting women?
Oh,
The apps, bro.
You know what? People, yeah. I mean, people are still online, and my social media game is pretty good. You know. Yeah, so I mean,
do you
people
send them
still,
a clip of your show first?
They're sliding into your DMs on Insta.
Yeah, my DMs are popping still. So
Nice.
so there's always that. I mean,
Do you test before you go into their apartment? Like when do you swab their nose?
That's a good question.
Are you
like
putting on gloves on
Costa
all
Rican airport?
Yeah. You're wearing a condom and gloves? Like what's going on? I want to know how safe you're being. I'm worried about
how masked are you, John?
I
How masked are you?
I only do pandemic positions. I'm strictly pandemic position.
Socially distanced only, right?
You know, nobody's gonna have sympathy if you get herpes during a pandemic. Nobody's gonna be like,
nobody's gonna have sympathy if you get herpes at any time.
This is really it's the golden age of doggy style.
Yeah, you're gonna be like, oh, you got that thing nobody's concerned about at the moment.
Anything that you get other than COVID right now is boring as a motherfucker. So don't catch shit other than COVID. But yeah, so I don't know, man. Social media allows you, there's plenty of fish in the DM.
Now, did you meet normally? I remember being single, and obviously being on stage was always a bit of a powerful thing in terms of meeting people. Was that your game back when we were on stage?
Yeah, but you know what though? I know this. I mean, I'm single, but I have calmed down like unbelievably. You know what I mean? That's just not where my head is anymore.
Right.
Yeah, but I've never been like, there's comedians who we work with even up till now who are like stand around after the show.
Yeah.
To talk to women. I've never been that guy. Right. I'm out the door. If you hit me, do you know what I mean, and say, "Hey, I thought you were funny," whatever. Then, but I'm not the stand around and yuck it up with people so I can get a date. Or I'm not the host that's going to stand there and flirt with a girl all night until I get her information.
Right.
So when I'm working, I'm working.
Yeah.
When I'm done, I'm out the door. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not that guy.
No, I know. I DM'd you once and I never heard back, so I know.
That's because I knew you weren't going to be in and out of town and be the fun guy. I'm just saying, Michael.
Now, Maddie, how about you guys? Are you you're out of the parents' house? Are you back together with the lady, or what's your situation?
Yeah. We're going strong. She's moved into my place, so it's full speed ahead.
Congratulations.
What does she do? What did she do?
Digital marketing.
Okay. Is she still working?
Looking for a new gig because her company shut down.
Okay. Because I was gonna say, because like there are also people that like they're working from home, and that's like at least they're on their computer and they're not like staring at you to be like, let's watch another movie, which is what I'm doing with my boyfriend.
Right. Michael, what's been your advice for cohabitation? What have you learned since moving in?
That, man, it's difficult, as I point out the corner over there. That's my 24/7 right now. We have 2 rooms, and we made an agreement. Whoever has the more important work to do that day gets the good room. And I haven't been out of the bedroom since March. This is.
I do like this. Like it's a library. Like you have to check it out. You're like, I'm calling living room. She's like, I'm sorry, I make more money. Yeah. So you're still in the bedroom.
That's it.
Yeah. I had to build a VO booth in my office here, like to do VO auditions and stuff like that. So I put this together. Meanwhile, I'm recording the other day. She's working with a client who's sobbing, like they're on Zoom. They're like, so I'm trying to record. And could you keep your childhood trauma down in there? Got a progressive radio spot I'm trying to book.
Yes. Some of us are trying to pay rent. I was staying with my boyfriend for most of this, and he made me a closet because I started a podcast during the pandemic, and then of course we're all doing this crap, and I'm loud, and he has pretty much a studio. So he took a phone call in the closet, maybe like 3 weeks in. And I was like, oh, I could barely hear you. He goes, good, because that's where you're going to live from now on. And so he like took everything out. He bought me a table. We had a fold out chair. He got me a big O light. And so now like almost if you like any podcast I've done, I have like t-shirts and weird shit behind me. Like I truly look like a runaway, but I have to say it's a really nice, like I should be doing voiceover in it. Like all the clothes take up sound. I'm like kind of proud of it.
Yeah.
And I'm small enough that I actually fit in it.
Everybody started a podcast, right? During this thing?
Yeah. I thought I literally, when I started it, I was like, I'm sorry. I regret to announce that I have started a podcast. Like, I'm so sorry, everybody.
I recorded 3 and I haven't put one up yet.
What are you waiting for?
I know. I don't know why. I recorded it. I've got 3 episodes and I'm just being perfectionistic and listening to it and going, hey, should I put that one out first or that one? I can't even tell.
You're playing hard to get. You're making us want it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Good luck.
You actually should put out your first 3 at once, so people can kind of binge it. So really, you should record 5.
Yeah, right.
Put out 3.
Like Breaking Bad or Ozark or something. Just
get them addicted.
Yeah.
I was saying I was going to get one going, and I just have not been able to I throw up in my mouth every time I think about it. But I am interested in the work. It's not just some general podcast. So if I do it, at least once I start it, it'll be good. But the idea of it is like, oh God.
Yeah. I have to say, like, I didn't know anything about it, wasn't into it, but I was stuck with my friend in London, and literally I'm like boarding the plane. I was like, we should start a podcast. I was like, we're not going to make any money. And I was always against it because I didn't want to do like a comedy one. Like I didn't want to do this, no offense. But like, I just, we've been on all the ones where they're like, how'd you get started? And I just didn't want to do that. So what was nice is I started it with my best friend. She's American, but she lives in London. I started it with her. It's about health and body. It's about stuff we both care about. It's very much about 2 friends connecting. It's actually, I think, emotionally and mentally saved both of us in a lot of ways because it's something to focus on. I've learned a lot. Like I had to learn about how you post it and like all these little tricks and all this kind of stuff. So whether it continues or what I do with it, I still feel like it focused me during a time that an unfocused brain right now would have been detrimental to my mental health.
Oh yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm working my social media, which is growing. I mean, I picked up 10,000 followers last month. I got this John Lasseter challenge going, but it's just people telling 1-minute testimonials of bad run-ins that they have with cops.
Oh wow.
So, going through your phone book as a Black dude, that's a shooting fish in a barrel.
Yeah.
The New York Times picked it up. Fucking
awesome.
This American Life. So that shit is going exceptionally well. But to your point, Liz, it keeps me out of just pacing around the fucking house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So John, I'm curious though, it's like, then do you feel like when you're throwing comedy at all these people who followed you after something serious, is it just like, because I wrestle with this too. Sometimes I post serious stuff and sometimes I'm posting jokes. Do you feel like it's all just part of who you are, so it's fine? Or is there, how do you reconcile all that?
Well, you know what? Like most of the feedback that I get from people, at first it was like, oh man, John, where's the skits at? But then after that, after they saw the project building, they were like, this is powerful shit. And this is the time for it. Right. So we'll give you a pass, keep doing it. Do you know what I mean? It's almost like people can get used to whatever you fucking put in the bowl.
Right.
It's also, it's all part of who you are. I mean, it's like you are funny, and then you also can be serious. And it's like people who are really going to dig you probably will like both, I guess,
And I think we're all starting to get resentful of the fact that just because comedy is a big part of my life, it's not completely who I am. Like that whole stick to the jokes bullshit that people get when they say their political opinion, like I can't fucking have feelings about what's going on. It's like, if you can fucking have a Facebook and rant, I can have a Facebook and rant. So it's like you're doing something thoughtful, creative, and collaborating in a way that I think a lot of people probably wouldn't, and you're using your status and your connections in a thoughtful way. And that's the whole point of us having a voice. I think, yes, we want to be funny, but truly, I've always just wanted to connect with others. And it starts with comedy, but even now, like, you're talking about childhood trauma earlier. I mean, some of my best friends, it's because I said a joke, they were like, that feels real. And then we're both crying in the back of an Uber being like, yeah, I get you. Like, so I think there's going to be a time for everything. It's like, I'm always like, I'm always a little bit like, go fuck yourself when they tell you to stick to comedy.
That is a weird thing that like comedians of all people like should be or anybody should be like, oh, so you're an accountant and you're allowed to weigh in on everything, but a comedian isn't, or an actor isn't. You know, it's a really odd. I understand when people like, oh, you know, I want to laugh or whatever at a show or something like that, but I don't understand why if you're a comedian you have to be restricted from having talked about anything, you know, like.
Yeah.
I think too, man, as the movement started heating up, then people were like, yeah, you know, I see where this is headed. The crazy thing though is intuitively, I was like, when I do this, because every day, like once you get said number of followers, you're constantly losing followers online. You gain, even if you pick up 100 followers today, you lost 20. You're always losing followers. So I was like, once I step into this BLM thing, I'm going to be losing followers. So I was like, I'm definitely going to be losing followers. But I would be remiss 10 years later if somebody said, what did you do during that time, John? And I was like, oh, I fucking made a skit about it. Like, you don't want to be that fucking guy. So I posted the shit anyway, and unbeknownst to me, it actually way added to my following. Like I said,
and also the people that you want to be following you, because fuck the people that only see you as one dimensional. It's the same thing that's kind of going on where like a football player is talking about his bad experiences and they're like, hey, shut up and just play football. Fuck you. Like, I'm a human and I have human experiences. And if you don't care about all of me, then I don't want you as a fan. So it's the same kind of thing where it's just like, yes, you're a comedian, you make funny skits, but people need to respect all of you. And it always kind of bothers me when there's this belief that you are one dimensional, that you are just a comedian and that's your only validity in this world.
I feel like
Liz, can you punch that up a little bit?
I'm working on it.
Yeah. I wish I had that luxury. If I lost any of my 17 followers, I would be devastated. We are going to wrap up. And on that note, we talked about some good stuff. Why don't we go around and everyone tell us what you guys are up to, starting with Lize Miele.
I have a new special. It is free on YouTube. It's called Self Help Me. So you can check it out. And then I do have a weekly podcast. It's about health and bodies and beauty and stuff like that. It's called Two Non-Doctors. It's little to no accuracy, but it's fun. It's about it. I'm out there on the interwebs.
John Laster, let us know.
Yo, just hit me up. Like I said, I got a dope project going. I don't know which corner it's in, but I put my Instagram handle in the corner. So hit me at He Was Funny. My boy DL Hewley just did a testimonial for me, which is fire. I got another king of comedy coming and some WNBA players, some NBA players coming up on that joint. It's heating up.
That's awesome.
Like I said, the New York Times mentioned it last week. They might be doing a story on it pretty soon. It's fire. So everything that I'm posting is on there. Hit me at He Was Funny.
Awesome. Matt Ruby.
I also have a new special on YouTube that's free. It's called Feels Like Matt Ruby. It's also available as an album for streaming. And I'm on Instagram at Ruby Matt or Twitter at Matt Ruby. That's it.
Brian Scott McFadden.
You can hear me on the progressive radio commercial that I recorded. That's coming out. I don't know where it is or what. I think you'll recognize my voice. I have no idea. Also, if I crank out this podcast, it'll be the Enlightened Comic Podcast coming out, and also a web show called Agent of Trump, where I play Donald Trump's agent, which we've been running around with and pitching and talking to people about, but we're probably just going to put it online now. It's we take actual Trump sound bites and I interact with him over the phone as his agent, right? So you can look for that, me as agent of Trump, right, going out, and B. Scott McFadden on Twitter and Instagram.
Excellent. I'm Michael Somerville. My new album, Best of Michael Somerville, is on Spotify and iTunes and everything. It's the last time I did stand-up. It may be the last time I did stand-up. So check it out. Michael Somerville on Instagram. I'm doing a show too, The Somerville Show. It's a new mini talk show that I'm creating from this apartment because I have nothing else to do. Thank you all so much for listening, watching, supporting the Comedy Cellar. It was great to see you guys, and have a great night, everyone.
Good to see you guys. Bye.
Bye.
To see all of